No one is you, and that is your superpower. Good morning. Me mainali, today's class presenter of distance learning program managed by Bharatpur Metro PABSON and Kalika TV. So, today's topic is from free writing, that is letter to the editor. So, every day we go to the news, we go through the news. While reading the news, you might have gone through the letter to the editor as well. So, letter to the editor is written to the editor of particular newspaper, so that the public issues, the social issues will be made public or given publicity, so that the concerned authority will take it seriously for the solution. So, how is a letter to the editor written? Let us have a look on these slides. Okay. How is a letter to the editor is written? We have some procedures. Okay. So, it is a kind of official letter. Let us have a look to these slides. Letter to the editor. Okay. So, before we go through the letter to the editor, let us know about some tips. A letter to an editor of a newspaper is a formal letter to the editor in chief or the editor of any newspaper by a citizen or a group or any organization or a company wishing to address some relevant issues. Most letters to the editor are written by citizens who wish to comment on the type of articles being printed, or who might be wanting to insist on particular type of articles to be printed. Some writers can also be activists who want more stress to be laid by the newspaper on certain issues. So, if we have certain public issues, social issues, okay, for the welfare of people, for the welfare of community, so letter to the editor is written, so that it gets coverage in the print media, and the concerned authority may acknowledge it, may take it seriously, and will come out with solution. So, for that sake, letter to the editor is generally written. Okay. So, here we have more tips. See, in general, in the beginning the problem is mentioned, right. Before we cite the example of letter to the editor, let us know about some tips. Okay. The procedures, how is it written? So, in the beginning problem is mentioned, and then effect caused by the problem are explained. First, let us mention problem and then effects. What effects are caused by that problem? Let us explain it then. in the later, and finally try to draw the attention of concerned authority for the possible solution. Okay? See, so these are very general procedures, and let us keep in mind about language as well. These are the structures that we discussed, and let us keep in mind about the language. Language in the sense that it should be very courteous and polite. Though we express our rage, dissatisfaction, okay, but the language should be courteous and polite. This is included if you are writing a letter of praise. However, if you are writing a letter of complaint, keep in mind that you cannot rant or simply vent. You have to be carefully, you have to have carefully constructed sentences. Okay? We express our rage, anger, dissatisfaction, but with our courtesy and politeness, right? Okay. And always keep the length of your letter short, never be too hasty, but try not to be expressive as well. Be concise and end your point as soon as you have stated its importance. Okay. These are the general procedures or the tips that we have to apply, let us say, while writing a letter to the editor. Let us have an example. Let us say an example of letter to the editor. So, generally it is asked instead of essay writing in examination, and it carries 8 marks. Okay. See, it is a kind of free writing letter to the editor. For example, one question, write a letter to the editor of the Kathmandu Post about the problems of pollution in your local area. See, this is the community problem, right? It is not your individual problem, it is the community problem. So, let us write a letter to the editor, so that it gets media coverage, okay, or publicity, so that the concerned authority, concerned body's attention be drawn for the possible solution. Okay. So, keep in mind that from where you are writing, that is a must. On the top right, you have to mention from where your address, okay. The senders, the one who is writing a letter to the editor, okay. So, your address should be written on the right top. Educational Colony, Sanotimi, Bhaktapur, and then after date should be written 2nd October 2020, and just below it on your left you have to address to the editor or the chief of that print media, right. Okay. The editor, the Kathmandu Post, Kathmandu. So, why we mentioned the Kathmandu Post? Because it has been mentioned in the question. You are asked to write a letter to the editor of the Kathmandu Post in the question. So, we mentioned this newspaper, right. Okay. See, then third step, dear sir, madam, I shall feel subject is not mandatory. Okay. So, it is a kind of traditional method, traditional way to mention subject as well. Even though you mention it is not wrong, but it is not mandatory. I shall feel obliged if you publish the following lines in your STEAM daily in the column later to the editor. In our colony, see what is the problem you have to mention here, right. In our colony, the water supply has been cut officially by 50%. Okay. The one who is writing this letter to the editor, they have water supply problem in their area. Okay. So, it is not individual problem, it is the community problem. This has caused a lot of inconvenience to the people of that area. It is dry season and people need more water for drinking, bathing and even for sprinkling. Many of people have to go out without a bath daily. They cannot get water for washing their clothes. As a result of it, life has become miserable. People stand in queues waiting for water. For the people who go to the offices, it has become quite strenuous. There is no other source of getting water because even the hand pumps do not work properly. If immediate steps are not taken, it may result in many diseases and water famine. The authorities should take some steps for restoring the regular supply of water. Sincerely, Pinky Gupta from Educational Colony, Sanothemi, Bhaktapur. Okay? So, it is their problem. So, she has cited the problem of water supply in their area. See. So, this is an example how a letter to the editor is written. Okay, let us go back to its structure. Though we discuss, let us have a look from, I mean your address is generally written, from means your address, okay, and then date, we discuss that, and to the editor. In the question you are asked to write a letter to the editor. So, to and subject, it is traditional method, way of writing. It is not mandatory, though you write, it is not wrong. And dear editor, okay. See. So, another in general way also you can write, I means mention your name. Just another example, I am an ardent and regular reader of your newspaper and have been reading it for nearly the past 9 years. I have to say that initially I was very happy with the type of articles you were publishing and your selection of writer and stories. However, of late I believe the newspaper's style and preference have changed. I am writing on behalf of several other readers as well to urge you to revert back to your original culture and tone. So, this reader, let us say, okay, of that newspaper has put a complaint to that newspaper, okay, to the editor to enhance the quality of their coverage, let us say, writings and other stories, to aid, to give space to our original culture and tone as well. Nowadays, the supplements of your newspaper contain more of advertisements for excessive brands and meaningless peddling of irrelevant goods. You have also started to lay more stress on the glamour side of town instead of delivering the empathetic and hard-hitting stories you were once famous for. See, previously you used to be very famous for bringing out people's stories, hard-hitting stories and other empathetic issues. Okay. But now you have aided advertisements contents, okay, and other brands and fashions. So, please try to enhance the quality as you used to have before. So, the reader, okay, well wisher of that newspaper has written a letter to the editor, right. So, this way also you can write as a suggestion to that newspaper. So, we as readers of your newspaper urge you to refocus your attention on the matters that really matter and name and other details just below it, right. So, this way also you can write a letter to the editor just as a suggestion to enhance the quality of that newspaper. Okay. See. Okay, dear editor, simply you can start with, dear editor, I wish to bring your attention and public the growing level of corruption, see another social issues, let us say, right. I wish to bring your attention and public the growing level of corruption among municipal officers. The municipal corporation of the city already infamous, its style of working is now faced with the new problem of growing level of corruption with its official. It has become almost impossible to get any work done without bribing the officials. See, corruption in government officials, especially in municipal officials, this corruption is seen, okay, more than before. So, to draw the attention of concerned authority, this letter to the editor has been written and published. Let us say everyone from down to top is openly asking for money. The role of anti-corruption is also mysterious in the regard. They seem to be only person not knowing about this and often fail to take any steps even after receiving the complaint. They rather ignore it and are also involved with the officers. It is also same that people agree to pay the bribe an extra amount when they are entitled for the services and can take steps in this regard. It is immediately required that inquiry be set up and the images of corporation is improved to install people's faith in the system. See, so this way the overall government system, the system of bureaucracy, the system of those municipal officials, it's getting down, right. So, this bribery is openly seen. So, the attention of concerned authority is drawn here, right. So, to bring a solution to lessen this corruption, Chulbul Pandey has written a letter to the editor. Okay. So, you went through some examples and procedures. Now, let us go back to some tips and procedures for your assignment. Let us have a look to this last slide. Yeah. Okay, about the steps, okay, are the tips. In the beginning, when you write a letter to the editor, in the content, first please mention the problem, on what problem you are writing a letter to the editor. Okay. Second, that problem, okay, effects should be explained. Effects caused by that problem should be explained. Second, and the last, please draw the attention of concerned authority for the possible solution. These three things please keep in mind, and structure, let me rewind the structure so that you can write well. Okay. Your address from where you are writing a letter to the editor, that should be on the top right, and just below it date, please try to write English date, and on your left just below it you may write the chief editor or editor in chief or the editor, okay, and name of that newspaper, okay, and its address. Subject is optional whether you write or not, and just below it you can write dear sir, madam, and then start. Okay. Yeah. So, please okay. So, please try to write a letter to the editor with for the solution of any public issues that you are facing in your area. Thank you for watching Kalika TV. Thank you for being with me. Have a good day. See you next week.